Hey guys, it's Tricia Carr. I have new exciting things going on with my Mystic Arts Academy. You can now subscribe to receive all of the live monthly content for about a third of the investment of a single class. Included are at least one downloadable guided meditation per month, 2 live events ranging from classes, channeled messages, group readings, intuitive development guidance, Q&A sessions, and tons of community. You'll also have access to a private Facebook community for fellowship and support, and this space is kept super sacred and high vibrational. Your subscription gives you access to the whole library of classes and live events, which are on a vast array of topics. All events are offered online by Zoom video call, and many are also offered live in person at my studio here in Los Angeles. Subscribing to the Mystic Arts Academy is also a way for you to support the Charmed Life podcast and engage on a deeper level. I'm offering the subscription at a super low rate of $22 a month. Joining now locks in this rate for as long as you're subscribed. Click on the description of this episode or go to my website, triciacarcharm.com, and click on Mystic Arts Academy. I look forward to connecting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Charmed Life. I am your host, Tricia Carr. This podcast can be found on any podcast outlet as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/Tricia Carr. You can find the links to all of that in the description. And this podcast is all about magic, unity, universal love, spirituality, intuitive abilities, and consciousness expansion. I am a clinical hypnotherapist, an intuitive, a multidimensional medium, and an animal telepath. And kind of encompassing all of that is I'm a spiritual teacher. And this episode has one of my dearest, sweetest friends, as I guess a lot of my episodes do have. And she is here to talk to us about so many really interesting topics that have to do with the physical body and the mind-body-spirit connection. Her name is Nicole Powers. She's a healing artist and intuitive guide, and she lives in Oklahoma. So she's my former neighbor, not literally, I'm from Texas. She's from the neighboring state. So Nicole has a lifelong passion of helping people connect with their mind, body, and spirit. And this led her to become a talented, intuitive life coach. She's a spiritual teacher and also an intuitive reader. And she's a massage therapist. And I just love one of the phrases that she says. I heard it when she was on this show a while ago, over a year ago. I'm not really sure when it is. I'll have to look at the archive. And you know what, I will, and we'll look at the archive, and if you're interested in the previous episode that featured Nicole Powers, you'll find that in the description here too. But she says that your issues are in your tissues. Man, I would love to get a daily massage from Nicole Powers because she's an intuitive body worker. It's so beautiful. She's also certified as a massage therapist and a certified ultimate energetics practitioner, which I don't know exactly what that's about, but it sounds ultimate, and I'm going to look into it. So it's been for over 10 years that Nicole has been helping clients identify stress, pain, and anxiety, and how to create a holistic plan to resolve balance and serenity to every part of their lives. And I'm really excited about this program that she's going to tell us all about. It's a short little workshop. It's a 2-day workshop, I should say that, as opposed to a program. It's a really catalyzing workshop called Intuitive Body Scans. So she'll talk a little bit about that, give a lot of tips about how to enhance your connection with your mind, your body, and your spirit. Meditation we talk about. And we also talk about community, spiritual community, how important that is. Now, by watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, you are engaging in community, even if it's just with you and me. And thank you so much. Oh, how my heart just expands to feel you connecting with this. And I am a big proponent of having more of your spiritual tribe, having many, many people around you who are going through this journey in a similar yet unique, like you are, manner. And that helps us to really connect with more of what is truly authentically ourselves. And so we do talk about the Lightworkers Lab, which is an online spiritual community founded by my best friend, Crystal Ann Compton, who's an intuitive channel, and also my business partner. We run many intuitive development programs together, one of which we tease in this episode is coming up pretty soon, but we'll get more into that in the next few episodes probably. And that you can find the Lightworkers Lab on Facebook as a group. I highly, deeply, strongly recommend that you go find it. It is so many free resources, people going up live in the group every single day to offer support, to demonstrate their gifts, to teach, and to offer readings. Really, it's a fantastic place, and for people to be able to express themselves and ask questions as it concerns spiritual growth and personal growth and development, and metaphysics and all of the kooky stuff that you might be into if you're attracted to this podcast. So go find the Lightworkers Lab. You'll find a link for that in the description as well. And with that, I present to you the lovely, the beautiful Miss Nicole Powers. Well, Nicole, the lovely, amazing Nicole Powers, so powerful. How great is it to have the name Powers?
It's really awesome. Actually, I love it.
And then Nicole means victorious one or something like that. Is that right?
It means victory of the people. And yeah.
My goodness.
So it's a big deal to live up to.
Yeah, you're like called in to be like the next Joan of Arc or something.
Hopefully not as bloody.
a little gentler.
Yeah.
Well, Nicole, it's been a while since you've been on the show, and I'm so excited to have you back. But, if you guys haven't connected with Nicole before on this program, it's like 2 years ago, right? Was it 2 years ago?
Hasn't been that long. It's been a while. Yeah, but I lose track of time.
Yeah.
So.
we live in 5D fluidity of time. Yes. So let the Charmed Life audience get into the gorgeous energy. Besides seeing your face, you have to watch the video if you're listening to the podcast, because your face just beams so much just life and love, and you got those doll eyes. I'm gonna fawn over you, make you blush, because you just are so beautiful, and so much energy comes out of your face. So tell everyone about, I don't know, your journey and the work that you're doing right now.
Thank you for that compliment. My face often gets me in trouble, so it's nice when the positive side, when I'm really excited and happy, shows, because everything else shows too. So hi, Charmed Life crew and people. I have been, working in personal development and self-care. I started in massage therapy because I have a heart for people, and I have a heart of service. And so I love people, I love service, and everything that I've ever wanted to do had to do with helping someone have a better life, feel better, less pain, more freedom, more joyful experience. And that's transitioned into then doing energy work and coaching and intuitive readings. And so everything I do is really, I just want to shower people with love and help them to be their best selves. And I learned starting in massage therapy that I'm really good at helping people with their body and feeling more comfortable in their body, more pain-free. But I discovered it wasn't enough, because my clients were still in pain after coming to see me. And I started learning that there is more to your physical pain than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. And so I got really curious about what else causes such pain. And shortly after I started getting curious, I found myself in a really deep depression. And it was one of those dark nights of the soul. And I did a lot of my own soul searching and was starting to connect a lot of dots coming out of that, how my body reflects what's happening inside me. So emotionally, my body presents, and I call it issues in your tissues. So my body is a map of what's really going on a deeper level. And I started doing my own inner work, and I noticed that by doing my own inner work, my physical body feels better. And so I wanted to give that to my clients. So I started learning other modalities and empowerment coaching. I've always been the person that people come to for advice, even though half the time I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. People come and ask me for advice, and I can always see someone else's issue way more clearly than I can see my own. I think a lot of us light workers are that way. Yeah. And a lot of people are just that way. And so I started wondering, how could I bring that into a massage space? But most people, and I was taught in massage school not to talk during a therapy during a massage therapy session to let the client relax and rest and be quiet. But a lot of my clients like to talk on the table. And so there was always kind of this like tug of war of, do I let them process because they need to, or do I do the things I was taught in school, like direct them back to their breath and get them to settle in? And so I just really decided I wanted to expand my business. And so for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been really on this journey of addressing not just the body, but body, mind, spirit. And because I had such good results from doing that for myself. And so now I pass that on to my clients, and it's been a really, really fun ride. I'm learning so much about me and about my clients. And I feel like when we bring it all together, it really is more powerful than addressing just one portion of the life, which we seem to compartmentalize our lives. And that's great if we're filling all those buckets. But a lot of times we're really hyper-focused on one aspect and letting the other two kind of fall to the side. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
And you work, obviously you still do massage therapy. So tell us how your sessions work. Because I know you also do intuitive reading and counseling, empowerment coaching. And so that kind of, fortunately, since we're all in quarantine right now, is not necessarily done in person with touch, but sometimes. So tell us how the different kinds of work, walk us through sessions and the offerings that you have.
So I have traditional massage therapy, which of course I have not figured out how to do long distance. But then I offer energetic healings, which can be done remotely, and that's more of a guided meditation experience that actually works with the energy body. So I take you through a meditative process, but while you're in a deep meditation, I'm also doing energetic adjustment from my end, and we do those through video calls. I do classic intuitive readings where I just bring through whatever spirit has, whatever questions somebody has, we just break it down. And then I also do empowerment coaching, which is more of a commitment type relationship. And so with my coaching programs, someone really has to want to do the inner work. It's not a quick fix, and it's definitely a commitment in time and in resources financially. And those people, I really work one-on-one almost on a daily basis with most of my coaching clients so that they can really get on top of something that maybe, hasn't really been going very well.
I felt the collective audience ears kind of stand on end when you were talking about doing the energy coaching or the energy healing. And I know that when we work one-on-one with clients, then people take those skills away for themselves. So I imagine this is already what you do in your own practice, for your personal practice, is that you do your own energy healing. And so how can people take some of what you do in sessions and apply it to their personal facilitating in their personal practice? Yeah,
so hopefully when you have a session, you're really present to the experience that's happening. And so a lot of times people aren't necessarily taking mental notes of like, this is what Nicole's walking me through and this is her process. They're just present to their own experience and whatever wants to unfold in that session. So away from a one-on-one session, I just think it's play. It's kind of taking what you experienced and trying to reproduce it, but also giving a lot of space to, it's not going to look exactly the same. The everyday person isn't trained in all the chakras and all the chi and the, Chinese medicine and the meditation practices, but they know what they felt, they know what they sensed, and they get homework. So every person that I have an energetic session with, lots of things come through and things that need adjusting, and I send them away with homework. And so really their process is doing the homework on a daily basis, which can look like mantras, diet changes. It can look like different types of meditation. There's a lot of different things that they may, walk away with, color therapy, and then just to practice that, and then to play with in their own meditation practice, some aspect of the session that they found really soothing or healing or fun, and trying to recreate it for themselves, but without the pressure of like having to know what to do, just playing with it.
Play. That was what I heard right from the beginning too. I think that's such a helpful guidance as we're doing our personal development, our meditation, whatever, where we're actually doing the deeper work and the healing on ourselves, is to have that positive, that unconditional positive regard for ourselves, and to have the play and curious energy so that we can, we feel lightened up from it. It also puts us in the masterful position so that we are what we say in like NLP and other kinds of those modalities is that we're consciously disassociated from the problem, meaning that we aren't vibrating on the frequency of it, as we would say in like metaphysics. We want to actually identify it and consciously dissociate from it. So we can make it a, play and make it light and make it easy. That makes our energy more open to receive the healing and the understanding, the learning about whatever the issue is.
Yeah. And I think it's important too that people realize that they're not me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, sometimes clients will reach back out to me and say like, how did you do this part? Or what questions? Because a lot of times I feel intuitively led to ask them to ask their inner selves certain questions. Mm-hmm. And they'll say like, well, what's your kind of like, they don't use the word formula, but what I hear is like, what's your formula for how do you know what to ask and when? Mm-hmm. And there's really not one. And so, but most people want to do X plus Y equals Z.
Well, that's because that's how we're conditioned. And like, that's the grand illusion that we are told if you go through K through 12 plus the other 4, then, they'll give you your job and your house. Nope.
Yeah. And a big part of my story is that I did all those things. Mm-hmm. I checked all the boxes. I made really good grades, and I got to college, and I was the first person in my family to graduate with a college degree. And I got the house and the car and the perfect guy. And then I was still really unhappy.
Wow.
And I was wondering like, why did I do all of this? If this is like, it's like, that's it. Like, this is what I've worked my entire life for. And so today, I hope that what I'm giving my clients is permission to choose a life that fits them rather than a life that they believe they're supposed to have because that's what they've been taught or conditioned, mm-hmm. or because it's what was expected of them, or because they want the results that they hear. Like, if you do this, then this will happen for mm-hmm. you. Because it is just such an illusion, and it's such a setup mm-hmm. for disappointment.
Yeah.
And I read an amazing book years after I had started kind of coming out of my depression, and I'd learned a lot of this, but I thought that my experience was unique, and it's not. I read a book by Sean Aker, and he worked really hard to get to Harvard. And once he got to Harvard, he was so depressed, and he found that many people on the campus of Harvard are very depressed.
Wow. Because
they work their entire lives to be the best of the best and get there. And then they're just a white dot on a white wall, and it's so soul crushing to have put in so much energy and then not get the result you were hoping for. Mm-hmm. And I think that happens in a lot of systems, not just like school and life, but in religion. Like, if I do these things, then God will grant me this. And, if I'm a good girl, then this happens. But maybe the good girl didn't have a lot of fun, and she's still feeling like, where's God? Like, mm-hmm. when are my gifts showing up? And so today I'm just like, just play and have fun and find a life that actually fits you, rather than a life that was supposed to work out.
Yeah.
There's just no supposed to.
Right. And I actually didn't know that part of your story in that way, where I said, you'll get your perfect life if you just follow the instructions. And I haven't heard you say that part of your story before, that you did do it, and you got, and you won. This is winning. It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. And that was part of, I went to massage therapy college after I already had a BFA, mm-hmm. A bachelor's degree. And so I was in a job that was just okay. And I was thinking to myself, like, what else could I do on the side? Because I have a degree in theater. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't making a lot of money living in Oklahoma with a theater degree. You don't make a lot of money.
Really?
And I needed like,
I tell you what, you don't make a lot of money in Los Angeles with those either.
Okay, good to know.
Well, I mean, generally speaking, I'm just being funny. Some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah.
So I was like, what could I do on the side? What could I do to support my creative habit? And I didn't want to wait tables. I kind of ran through the things of like, what could I do? And at the same time, I really wanted to get a massage. And I was trying to calculate how much time would it take for me to save up to be able to afford a massage? I'm like, wonder if they make any money. I wonder if it's a flexible schedule. Could I do that? And on a whim, I went to massage therapy school, and it became like, this is my calling. I mean, I was like, what did I do 4 years of, and it was really 5 years of college. Took me 6 because I took some time off, but 5 years of being there on campus. And I'm like, I spent so much money, so much time, so much effort. My massage degree took me less than 6 months. I paid for it out of pocket. And so the things that the world teaches us, spend, $30,000 in 5 years to get this great career. It's just not true. It's just not true. And I'm living proof of that.
My husband really works on his bitterness. I don't want to say he has bitterness about that, because he is a composer, and he had his undergrad and he got a master's, and was encouraged to do even more, and encouraged to take out loans, because it's like the holy grail of education for whatever at any cost. And it is like a certain point of the way through, and he was like, wait a minute, after I do this, then I have to really start to try to, you know what I mean? Then it's like, I don't just have a career, and the careers and the path of a person who's a musician, whatever that will be, is not an instant, not a clear way to start paying back that debt. Now, it's different if it's like for doctors or dentistry or lawyers, because you do enter into a higher paid situation if you do it, you know what I mean? Like, you can start to pay it back. You can start to outrun it. But there was no logic in that. No one told him that. As a kid, you start at 18, you're just doing what your parents tell you to do still.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an unfortunate formula that we are compelled to follow to be good girls or boys, and it just doesn't always work. But I feel like we're getting more flexible. I feel like the generation of young people who have come in are forcing that on the society, forcing the system to break, and for them to be recognized, and for alternative considerations to be in education. There's like online charter schools and way, way less traditional stuff than it used to be, at least starting to become available.
Yeah. And I think it's just going to continue to evolve, because even the generation before me, I have an uncle who has very severe dyslexia and ADHD, and they didn't know how to teach him. Yeah. And then my generation, they learned how to teach those kind of kids that had learning, I don't even want to say the word limitations, but they learn differently. And then, with the generation below me, they are making their own path. Yeah. The millennials get a lot of flack, but I am so proud of how they're just like, we don't have to follow the rules. Yeah. We can figure this out, how to do this a different way. That's actually more loving and more fun. I'm like, yeah, I want a little bit of that.
I agree. And I'm right here in the middle, like a Gen Xer, where we're like learning to, are you kind of Gen X, and are you in that range?
I'm like in the years where they don't know what to call us. Yeah. So they've tried on different names, but I'm right in the middle.
You're like very young for a Gen X, because I'm even on the young side of Gen Xers, but maybe you are identifying with that culture a little bit more, the elder of your, contemporaries. And it's like I think there's this, we're the smaller set of this population. The Generation X, I think I'm random, I don't know for sure. I think is about 44 million or billion million in the US. And then in not 44 billion. We don't even have that many on the planet. I tell you, like time escaping me, so do numbers.
I know.
We only have like 7.5 billion on the planet. Okay. Get it together. I swear, the blonde hair, it's a heavy burden. No, okay. All right. So about 44 million Generation Xers in the US, I think that's what it is. And then, but there's like 70 plus on either side of the millennials and the baby boomers. Of course, the boomers are the elders, so they're, diminishing because life, expectancy and everything, they're passing away. But we're still right in there in the middle. But there's like wisdom from one side and there's innovation from the other, and we need both. And I think that the middle child is like, hey, you guys, you got some good ideas and you got some good ideas. Can we play?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, you have an exciting program coming up, which is, I think, marries what you've already been telling us about your practice. It's a 2-day workshop on body scans. I'm going to let you take it away and tell a little bit about this. Tell us about the dates and the times and how and all of that, which of course we will put the link in the description. Take it away. Tell us about body scans.
Yeah, so the class is called Intuitive Body Scans, Harmonizing Mind, Body, and Spirit. So it's exactly the kind of work that I've been doing, that I love doing. And the workshop is going to take place in May, on May 30th and 31st, which is a Saturday and a Sunday. And it's going to be anywhere from an hour, 2 hours each day. We're going to start at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on those days. And I'm going to be teaching people just what you asked me in the beginning about, what do they do for themselves in between sessions? How can they use this practice in their life? I'm going to be teaching people how to do a physical body scan of their physical body. And what a body scan is just really taking like a physical inventory. What's going on with me? Just taking a look with your imaginal mind, or going within to feel and sense what your body is, what the current state of your body is. And then also your energetic system. So your aura and your chakra and your chi. And we're going to talk about meridians. We're just going to talk about a bunch of fun things that I've learned over the years, of how to do your own practice at home, how to do your own practice. And the thing about the body scan class is it fits right in with what we've already been talking about. There's no right or wrong way to do it. There is no formula. And it's going to be a very unique experience for every person that takes the workshop. And day 2 is going to be really fun because we get to practice with each other and, explore a little bit and just tweak the skills. Because for me, I love to teach, but I really love to coach and to mold and to shape, because it's easy to listen to a class and still walk away going like, yeah, but how do I do it? And I don't want anybody walking away, but how do I do this now? So we're going to have some practice time and really get in there and have some fun.
So what about the folks who say, I can't see visions. I can't see in my mind's eye. I don't see pictures in my mind. And so this wouldn't be for me. Because I'm sure we both get that. I do. And, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, so I know, and I've been a meditation teacher for a long time. What do you say to them?
So I say that just like in your physical body, you have 5 senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing, right? And then sight. So that you have all 5. And even in your physical body, some of us have strengths and weaknesses. Like I have a terrible physical nose. Like I cannot smell anything. So if you're really stinky, I'm a good person to be around because I can't smell you.
I got all of your sense of smell. We were standing in line and I got in line twice. Oh, mine's so strong.
Yeah, I missed the boat on that one. But I have a really good sense of hearing. I can, and like color, I can see color really well. Like there's my eyes, I could take, I don't know. Anyway, I'm really good with color and with hearing. But then in your spiritual senses, you actually have all those 5 plus some. And so, and my spiritual senses actually don't always align up. Like my spiritual sense of smell is pretty good.
I know. Isn't that weird? I'm the same way. My clairvoyance, my spiritual seeing is really good. But I was actually mostly blind for a lot of my life, so I don't prioritize that in my physical senses. That's interesting. I haven't talked to someone about that very much. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, I do find that. I haven't either. That is really fascinating. So we have to figure out, how do you work in the non-physical? Even though we're talking about the body, which is very 3D and very physical, but how do you go into your own body and view it through all of your senses? How do you sense your body? How do you listen to your body? What does that look like for you? Or is it possible? How do you visualize your body? Because you're not actually, body scanning isn't about like, here's my hand. I noticed that I have these things. It's more about seeing your hand without seeing your hand, sensing your hand. How do I feel in my body? People are going to experience a multitude of things. So for me, when I feel, because I'm clairsentient, so I feel other people's physical pain, which I've done all along, didn't know that I was doing it. And I didn't actually know for a long time. I was a massage therapist for probably 7 years before I started realizing, oh, there's a reason that I'm really good at this. There's a reason. My clients will always say, like, I didn't even know I was hurting there, but I knew they were. And I didn't connect the dots that my own body's like a tuning fork to theirs. And so people sense their physical bodies different ways. And what I think is going to be really cool is people are going to have some aha moments of like, yeah, I don't visualize, but I noticed that this really interesting thing happens when I do a scan. And I think that's also going to be part of the challenge of the practice of body scanning is to not have expectations. So body scanning not only is good for your physical health, but it's good for your mind, because we know, based on science, that expectations lead to anger, frustration, resentment, discontent, like a lot of things that most of us don't really want in our lives. And so this is a good way to practice learning how to manage your expectations by doing a body scan practice. Well, I don't know about anybody listening, but would you expect to get that from a class called Body Scans? Maybe not. I think this class is going to have a lot of surprises that I can't even begin to tell you all the things that are going to come out of it. Just to, say like some cool stuff's going to come that you would never expect. And
it's that formula, I think, that we kind of uncovered already. The expectation and needing and the comparison or really applying something from the outside to how the experience should be on the inside. That's what we were talking about with the K through 12 plus 4 equals success, and putting yourself into another model that's from without. And so if we can release the I'm not clairvoyant, if that's the thing that someone says, release it and get in there and play. Again, it isn't about passing a test, but that's what we have to release is that compulsion to want to be right or good enough, and to get into doing this by the practice of like body scanning for the fun of it, for the pleasure of it, for the excitement of connecting with yourself. I think that's beautiful. That's so important. We all need that.
And part of the body scan process, everybody who takes the class is going to walk away with a PDF that has, step 1, step 2, like, because even though it's going to be a lot of play and a lot of experience, there will be a process as well. Because I think it, like we talked about, the Gen X and the millennial, like we need both. We need processes and we need structure, but we also need room to not cling to that structure, to be able to be loose with it. And so they will get some structure, but one of the steps is not to judge what you notice. And it's hard to do that. And we do it in meditation too. This is one of the things I hear the most feedback about from all of my clients, because I'm a bit of a meditation, like, it will change your life. You have to do it. Every client I work with gets meditation as homework. And some of them, do it, but then they come back to me and they say, I can't do it because, and I'll hear many reasons.
Well, it's like, full stop. I can't, done. Yeah. Because you have you have absolute free will and you decided, you made the choice.
Yes. Yeah. And all their reasons that they believe they can't are because they think they're doing it wrong.
Right.
And every single thing that they consider wrong is right. It's not wrong. And so changing that thinking and that thought process of, oh, that's a part of meditation. I thought it was supposed to be this thing.
Yep.
It's like, no, it's all of it. Just sitting down with the intention to meditate, that's enough.
Yeah.
You did it. No matter what happens, you did it,
Yes, you asked the conscious mind to step aside. You asked it. That's the first thing. Like, you just think about it. Well, I'm not married. I only asked her out on a date. That's the first thing you do. That's the first part of a marriage or whatever. So you have to begin with the asking, and that is a part of the whole journey of it. I think when I finally, I say finally because I had been trying to meditate for a while and had like a few blissful moments of it and was like, how do I do that? I feel like it just did a quantum leap, of just getting the mind to be quiet. And then when it became a regular practice, I kind of didn't even know that it was meditation, because I had been working with an energy coach and she was teaching me. I went to learn how to turn that empathic nature the right way around so that it wasn't just soaking things up without my conscious agreement to it. It was an unconscious thing. And I'm, all of that whole deal, that the reformed empath I was becoming. And so the very first thing that she had me do in the program was a body scan, like just literally feeling and becoming mindful of the body. And just doing that for 5 minutes every day. And eventually it led me to a meditation practice. And I kind of didn't know that's what I was doing. And then I just started doing it because it was so wonderful and I couldn't not do it. And then eventually I was like, probably about a month in, I was like, oh, I'm meditating. I have a meditation practice now.
Yes.
I didn't have the expectations. She probably didn't say the word meditation for a while, which was very smart of her. I'm not as smart.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you do a body scan, it is meditation.
It is. Yeah.
That's one of the things that, we talk about in the sales page and the literature for like why you might want to, if this class appeals to you, you go to the sales page and you check out what's going to be taught. That's one of the things that one of the promises I make is that you'll come away a better meditator because it is a form of meditation, but most people wouldn't connect those dots unless we told them,
Yeah.
And it's an easy way to do it because you are aware of your body, whether you know you're aware of it, you're living in here. This is your home. And many of us, especially a lot of spiritual people, we don't want to be in our body, right? We identify so much with our spiritual being that we reject our own body sometimes deliberately, most of the times accidentally. But you're in here, you're here with your body, whether you're engaging with it or not. And so it's actually easy to engage with the body because it's been waiting for you to do so. It's ready for some attention. And so it's not as ethereal as sometimes like some other forms of meditation can feel, because when you drop into your body knows you're there and it's going to work with you.
You know what, this is bringing us back again to really the inner child, because when we were told that we needed to stop playing and we needed to go sit, for me, in which is the cold classroom, the box for 8 hours of the classroom, and that is the thing that good girls and boys do, and that is more important than the wonderful blissful thing you were doing out, for me, in the Texas fields and everything. We're told to disidentify from what our body wanted, because children are all physical energy, all presence. And so we're needing to bring that back, which of course, this is not to say all of our parents were the worst, because they also have to figure out how to make us not have to, to be able to be autonomous in this thing that we've all co-created, this society, So we're finding that happy balance again.
Yeah. And then, speaking of balance, at the other end of the spectrum, some people identify so much with their physical body and their physical pain that they become their pain.
Yes. Very good.
And so no matter which end of the spectrum you're at, whether you're disassociating from your physical body for whatever reason, or you're over identifying with your physical body scan will hopefully have you walking towards that place of balance where I get to be spiritual and physical at the same time and in harmony with myself, and it is a practice. That's the thing, is that after a 2-day workshop, are you going to master that? No. But if you will take what you're given in the 2-day workshop and keep working at it and keep playing with it and keep coming to the table of you, coming into you, then after a while, it starts to become natural. It starts to become the way you live your life, and it feels like breathing.
Yes.
And now I can't imagine not, I was telling a client the other day that she's starting to get to a place in our coaching together where she's experiencing true serenity and contentment for the first time maybe in her whole life.
Wow.
And so it feels strange to her. It feels like, is something wrong with me? Like there's like, and it's that really cool spot where the tide shifts from, and I remember feeling that way myself. Like I grew up in chaos. So that was familiar to me. It made sense to me, even though it wasn't good for me. It was it was my normal. So then when I started coming into adulthood and realizing not everyone else is so chaotic, some of them grew up in stable households, and I was doing things that other adults don't do, because I was still kind of doing the childhood thing of chaos. I didn't ever grow out of it. And so when I started having serenity, I called it boredom. I called my own coach one time and I was like, I think something's not right. I'm just bored all the time. And she was like, Nicole, that's serenity. And I was like, I don't know if I like it. She's like, you will. Just, keep going. You'll like it. And then now, so serenity was foreign to my chaotic, familiar system.
Yeah.
That my ego was like, this is not okay. Like, we don't know what serenity is. Get it out of here.
Yeah. But homeostasis is a powerful drive. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The more I kept going now, when alarm bells go off, it's because I've popped out of serenity.
Yeah.
And so there's like a shift that happens along the way. And same thing with the body scan process. There comes a time when you embrace being connected to your body so much that you'll notice when you check out.
Yes.
That'll be that'll
be the cue. Yeah, that'll be the cue. You'll catch it. Yeah. Right. And so, a 2-day workshop, it's like a catalyst for you to start. But it's a practice. It is an ongoing, and for it to be a practice that is about celebrating yourself, that's the best thing I think that's the most beautifully sweet experience to take away. I want to frame one last thing for folks before we conclude. And that is, there are some people who are like, oh, good, practice, because I want to do the practice and I want to play. And there's some other people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be put on the spot. Who are these people? But I have to say, you and I know that community and sacred space and being around those who are just attracted to it, man, that's powerful. So let's talk about that a little bit so we can make sure that the folks who are like almost there, but they're scared of that day 2. It's like, no, the day 2's the best.
Yeah. I'm an introvert and I have terrible stage fright, which is part of the reason I'm not an actor, because I have terrible stage fright. But so I get that kind of person, like, especially it went because I do have a degree in theater, which had a focus on acting. When we would do improv, I would have like the sweats and I wouldn't want to do it. And I would just freeze, because I don't mind preparing for something. The perfectionist in me likes to prepare a role and then execute it. But I wasn't in touch with that sense of play and experiment and improvise. No, thank you. So there's no pressure here in this class. You can be a wallflower. You can jump right in the mix. You can take it at your own pace. And what I've learned is by watching other people practice, I learn.
So true. Yes. Yeah.
So even if you don't get in the hot seat or, there's going to be demonstrations, and the truth is, because we've had quite a few signups already, I have a feeling this class is going to be so big that not everyone will have to practice or, be put on the spot. You'll be practicing what we're demonstrating on your own. And so if you need to be a wallflower, you can, you can take this at your own pace, and you have access to the material for an entire year.
Yeah.
So the practice day is really going to be a class that, even if you were there and present, it's a class you'll want to come back to. As your practice develops, you could go back and watch the practice day and tweak things based on what you saw demonstrated for you. It's going to be a class that kind of keeps on giving.
Absolutely. And, the classes that we do with the Lightworkers Lab are always, so much value, so much content. But I want to make a special heartfelt appeal to those of you who are listening, who are in your ascension, your awakening, and feeling like, I feel alone, I feel different, I am trying to make changes and live more authentically, or whatever any of that is. That when I work with people, one of the first things, because I tend to work with people who are in some place of their burgeoning awakening and, opening their spirituality. I mean, there's all different places that I work with people in all different parts of their journey. But the folks that are there, which we all have been on and will be on at some other point, we're always growing and expanding. One of the first things I say is, meditation. The other thing I say is community, fellowship, because then the two lights that come together, which there's going to be more than that, there's going to be tens and tens, that you just, by proximity to one another, you start to grow and expand. And can we speak that enough? You and me, Nicole, with our experience with the Lightworkers Lab? Yeah.
completely accelerates the process, because when I got to the lab, I had been starting to like connect some dots for my own intuitive ability, but I wasn't even calling it that. I wasn't even, I was curious, like something weird's happening. Well, I don't know what it is. Like, and I was looking for answers. And by being in the lab for a very short time, I got to a place where I just started like saying, I believe this, or I believe that. And then it would happen. Yeah. And, you know, it feels like, to me, my story feels like it happened overnight. Like my intuitive abilities turned on literally in an instant. That's how my experience of it was. But it's not that way. It's never that way. But when two or more are gathered, the process is amplified. And being in community with more and more and more, there's just something in it that like, it just heightens, it just accelerates the process, and things happen instantaneously because of the intention of the teachers in the lab and the sacred space we've created together. Like literal magic happens there. Yeah. And it's really amazing. And then too, with the body scanning class, you know, it is a catalyst. It's a jumping off space. And the great news is then we also have you and Crystal's energy intensive coming right behind it. And so for those class members who this lights them on fire, there's a place for them to go to deep dive into that kind of content. And for some people, like, you know, this is going to be the thing. Because we all work in different ways. And sometimes when you get the body involved, that was my portal. You know, for me, the body is how I sense psychically the strongest. Right. And so without getting my body involved, I still would be telling myself I don't have abilities. Yeah. I needed that. That's
what you and I have talked about, the emotional and physical suggestibility and sexuality, which I haven't talked a lot about on this podcast, but it has to do with hypnotherapy. And you're just speaking your physical suggestibility and your emotional sexuality. That's the incongruent. Yeah. Because the physical suggestible brings in the information into the physical body, and you read the environment and you learn in your physical body. And that's why you're like, I don't want to improv. I want to think about it first and then release it. That's the emotional, that's the emos way of being, which is really cool. And so, yes, that's thank you for mentioning the energy intensive. That's just a teaser. We haven't formally announced it yet, so you guys stay tuned. And but yeah, it's I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be so powerful. One thing that I asked Spirit about for this one class that I taught in my Mystic Arts Academy program platform, I was teaching on consciousness projects, meaning where people come together and they focus on something, and there's this, you know, there's sometimes evidences, there's these, you know, just this shift in awareness experiences in the physical world as well. And so I asked about that principle of why, where two or more are gathered, you know what I mean? That idea, which is, we're quoting the Bible on that, where two or more are gathered, I am there, meaning that God or God energy, or just the I am, the one I am energy is there. And so I was like, why is that? I was just like being like a baby, you know, like curious, like, why does that, what is that? And so what Spirit showed me was like, Nicole, you and I connect, we're bringing our love. In order for us to bond, it's love, or it's the energy of connection, bonding, it's resonance. So when we bond and love and connect, then we actually create a third energy, because that resonant energy is a third energy. And that's the thing that is exponentially bigger. Because we're actually multiplying, not just mine, not just yours, but a third energy. And that actually is bigger and more reverberating because it connects to the one energy then.
I love that.
Makes sense, right? Like in a way, you're like, yeah, that's what it is. I already knew. It really helped me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was taught that in therapy about romantic relationships, that there's this exercise that we would do where you have your physical being, the other person's physical being, and then the third, the relationship you're creating together. Right. And so of course it makes complete sense. And I just love that.
The energy of relating is the energy of unity. It's really what it is. So that's why it's so reverberating and so exponentially larger, is because it's just connecting to the one energy, the love that become, you know, between two seeming individuals recognizing that they're one energy then. But anyway.
Yeah,
Whew.
and it reflects the Trinity, which I am a big fan of.
Absolutely.
And then also, as you were talking about that, I also wanted to go back to something you asked me earlier about people who think they can't tap in clairvoyantly or have some sort of feeling like I'm blocked in this area. When you do body scanning, nothing is information. So if you were to go into a body scan and literally get nothing, that also means something.
Yeah. What's the quality of the nothing? That's same thing with meditation. That's something I coach folks on. They're like, I'm not getting anything perfect. What's that nothing like? Is the nothing black? Is it white? That's I mean, or whatever the quality is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there because it was coming back like Spirit's not going to let me walk out of here without saying that.
Even nothing is something. Yes, it's so true. So what is the nothing, like you said, for you, serenity was boredom. And it's like, but serenity was that there was less, or there was a nothingness there. There was a void, but a void can be a fertile void, right? It can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people experience energy different ways because I've worked with other energy healers and collaborated. And even as healers, we do things differently. Even though we're working with the same systems, a lot of the times, if I work with chakras, I know a lot of healers work with chakras or with chi, we're working with the same substance, but the way we come about it, the way that Spirit indicates to us what's out of flow, what's in flow, what needs attention, what needs a little less. Even the way that I interpret that is different than another energy healer. And so for everyone who does a body scan, their nothingness might mean something different than the next person's. And so it's really it's a very curious process. So I would say, if you want to be a more curious person, or you're already a curious person, this is a great workshop for you. If you have no interest in curiosity and you completely reject that wholeheartedly, I would say this is absolutely where you need to be. But I understand if you're not ready.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not ready, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so wonderful. I'm so excited for body scans, intuitive body scans, and you have to come back on again real soon. I can't believe we let so much time pass. And is there anything else? We have your information in for the body scan class, as well as how to reach out to you and connect with you on the work that you do. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up this amazing interview, this time that we spent together?
Just thank you for having me. And as always, it's just a delight to talk about, these conversations for us are gold, because in the normal world of earthlings, I don't get to have this deep a conversation. So for me, I'm just like, thanks for talking to me, Tricia. It's been really good.
Yeah, it's community. Again, we need it. We need the fellowship. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's you bless me so much. And again, look at that fish. Oh, I want to eat it. All right, everyone, check out Nicole Powers and the Intuitive Body Scans class. Well, that's our episode with Nicole Powers. And before I let you go today, let me just let you know about a class that I have coming up. I actually mentioned it the last couple of episodes. And what I haven't mentioned is that it is complimentary, or suggest a donation if you're so led to. And I wouldn't want you to even donate until after you participated. But it is Self-Hypnosis for Health and Happiness. I'm going to be presenting this live over the next couple of weeks on two Tuesdays and 2 Thursdays. And it's May 5th, 7th, 11th, and 14th. Don't quote me on that. Check the dates in the below description of 2020 in case you're listening to this at another time. But it's May of 2020. And if you do need to register, there's a link for you to do that. Again, it's free of charge. And if you are, want to donate later, that's totally fine. But no expectation of that. And it is a class that I am teaching. You can drop in on any of the 4, or you can go to all 4, and you can ask questions. You can ask your questions afterward, because I am actually developing this to have as an on-demand class on my own platform as well as another platform. So if you want to just drop in, you'll be able to gather a lot of information or do all of them, and then eventually you can have it available to you if you wanted to see the whole thing on demand. We'll be doing some lecture. I'll be teaching you all about this, and there will also be available some hypnotic journeys that I'll be guiding. So it'll be really, really fun and really informative. So go check out the link below. Like I said, it's complimentary, and I would love to connect with you in that way. It'll be so much fun. And I thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.